Is being recorded.
Has he gone live, sir, so that we can start the program?
You can start. He will go live.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste to everyone. On behalf of Sri Kamakoti Bhakti Kendra, it is indeed my privilege and honor to introduce our special speaker of this morning, Sri P.R. Kannan ji. He has an MTech degree in Civil and Structural Engineering from one of India's premier institutes, IIT Chennai, and PG diploma from Holland, and has worked in many reputed organizations in India and overseas, and has a keen interest in Sanatana Dharma. Editor of spiritual magazine Dilip, started at the instance of Sri Maha Swamiji of Kanchi, published from Mumbai. Sri Kannanji delivers discourses on various religious topics, conducted online lectures on Shankara Stotra Makaranda for 6 months, and is currently lecturing on the cultural history of Kashmir, including Raja Tarangini. He has also contributed articles to various reputed religious magazines. With the blessings and directives of Sri Shankaracharya Swamiji of Kanchi, he authored 40 books, including writings and translations, which include Shankara Stotra Makaranda, lecture notes of select Shankara Stotras, commentaries on Sri Rudram and Chamakam, Sri Guru Bhujanga Stotram, Adi Shankara Ashtotra Shatanama Vali, Amarnatha Mahatyam, Sri Pada Saptati, Lalita Trishati, Kanchi Mahima, Pitrukarya, Compendium of Important Rules, Smriti Mukta Phalam 1, Srimad Ramayana Dharma Sangraham, commentaries of Ashtapadis, Shiva Gita Sundaram, and Rama. Sri Kannanji was awarded titles Jagat Guru Seva Ratnam and Upanyasa Tilakam. I now request Sri P.R. Kannanji to kindly enlighten all of us with his insights on Paramacharya, the walking God.
Susmriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Bande Guru Paramparam. I am indebted to Kamakoti Bhakti Kendra for inviting me to speak on this very sacred, important occasion of Paramacharya's Jayanti on Maha Periyava and his grace. Now, recalling Adi Shankara at this stage is very important for all of us. Adi Shankara lived only for a short span of 32 years. He toured all over Bharata Desha, conducted spiritual Digvijaya. 3 times he went along the length and breadth of our vast country. He defeated 72 non-Vedic religions, established Advaita philosophy on a very strong footing. He established in this process 4 Amnaya Pithas. Amnaya means Veda. 4 Pithas in 4 places, in 4 corners of our Bharat Desha, with Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda as the guiding Veda in those respective mathas. And finally, he went to Kanchipuram and stayed there for a few years. He was instrumental in building Kamakshi temple, Varadaraja temple, and Ekamreshwara temple in Kanchipuram, and he established Kanchi Kamakoti Pitham, what is known as Moolamnaya Pitham. To distinguish it from the other 4 Amnaya Pithas, this is the Moolamnaya Pitham because that is where he stayed himself, and he performed Trikala Chandramaulishwara Puja on Yogalinga, one of the 5 Spatikalingas which he brought from Kailasa. He performed puja himself and he established a lineage of Shankaracharyas in his own Moolamnaya Pitham in Kanchipuram. That is where we are now. And that Guru Parampara, which started 2500 years ago, is going with an unbroken tradition of 70 Acharyas. The present Acharya is the 70th Acharya, and today we are celebrating the Jayanti of the 68th Acharya, known as commonly as Walking God, Paramacharya, etc. Sri Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Swamiji. Now these four mathas, four peethams are all Advaita peethams, mainly established to further Advaita philosophy, further the practice of dharma among the people, and to see that our traditions are protected carefully in their pristine purity. Now, all these acharyas, 70 acharyas, and the acharyas that are going to come in future, are all same Shankaracharya. Shambhor Murti Charati Bhavane Shankaracharya Rupa. So goes the words in praise of this Guru Parampara. Shambhor Murti, the very Murti of Parameshwara of Kailasa, has taken incarnation in the form of these succeeding Shankaracharyas. That is why it is in present tense. Charati Bhuvane. Today, they are moving around us in this earth as Shankaracharyas. Now, they are known as Jagat Gurus. They are also known as Shankaracharyas. Guru, as we all know, Gukala Chandhakarastu Rukarastan Nirodhakaha Andhakara Nirodhitvate Gururit Abhidhiyate. The one who removes darkness by the light of knowledge is known as Guru. Here we are talking about spiritual knowledge, spiritual jnana, and removal of ajnana. Now, what is Shankaracharya? Shankara means one who does good for us. One who does good for us is Shankara. Sham karoti iti Shankara. Now, who is Acharya? Acharya is one who has studied Shastras in depth and he practices those Shastras in his daily life every moment. That is why he is known as Acharya. He is Shankara Acharya. He is Acharya who follows the Shastras and he does good for us. Achinoti Shastrarthan Acharya Sthapayatyapi. Swayam Acharate Yastu Sa Acharya Yutasmrataha. Swayam Acharate Yastu. He has to follow the practices to the letter and spirit. Then only he is known as Acharya. Now, while establishing Advaita Vedanta on a firm footing, Adi Shankara had to defeat mainly a shakha, a darshana of our own Sanatana Dharma known as Purva Mimamsa. Now, Purva Mimamsa was a theory which laid stress on primacy of karma and with no care for the concept of Ishvara. That was Purva Mimamsa. Now, Adi Shankara rectified this anomaly. He said, karma is definitely essential. Karma is the basic fundamental path, but it has to be tempered by the wetness of bhakti. It should not be dry karma. It should be tempered with the wetness of bhakti. That is the difference between Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. Now, why I'm saying this is all these 70 acharyas and the acharyas who will follow are keeping this in mind while they conduct their own activities of the matham and while they teach the disciples what we have to do in our own daily life. That is where this concept of karma mixed with bhakti comes. Now, coming to Paramacharya's life, it's not possible to cover all the facets of his extraordinarily splendid life in this short span of few minutes, but we will try to have a quick glance of various contributions of his. Now, he took sannyasa at the age of 13. He was born on 20th May 1894 in a place called Villupuram, and he had no preparation for this exalted seat which he was going to occupy. He had not studied any Shastras, he had not studied any Vedas. He was in no way prepared for this assignment. He was like any other high school student in those days. And at the age of 13, when he took sannyasa, he himself has stated all that he knew was Ramanama. But From the age of 13, when he took sannyasa, up to the age of 20, he picked up all the knowledge of Vedas and Shastras from competent acharyas, and he picked up so fast. His picking up was because of his kushagra buddhi, intellect as sharp as kusha. There are a lot of stories about how he picked up Vedic lessons, etc. We will not go into each of those instances. But his spiritual attainment was growing simultaneously, not simply. That is something which we cannot understand at this distance of time. See, a student, a high school student who was in no way prepared for this kind of assignment, comes and receives sannyasa, and he starts learning Vedas, Shastras, etc. from competent gurus, and he starts performing Trikala Chandramaulishwara Puja every day. Now, this must be a very mechanical activity for a boy of that age, isn't it? But it was not. He had attained spiritual maturity right from day one. That is something which we will not be able to comprehend. That is where Parameshwara's grace comes in. Because what we are told is that when he was performing this Chandramaulishwara Puja, the Asthana Pandit asked him to perform with great attention, with great shraddha, and with a bhava of soham bhavana. Soham bhavana is I am Parameshwara, I am no different from Parameshwara, with that concept. Now, anybody in Acharya's position would have replied, yes, true, I am doing it. He didn't say that. He said, do you mean to say that only during the time of puja we should have this attitude of soham, or we should have all the time? This was his reply. That shows the depth of spiritual attainment which he had already got even while he sat for the puja. Another instance during this young age is one Tirubayaru Balakrishna Shastri, a great Vidwan, who thought this boy is a very young, he had performed many yagas, great scholar, Shrauta scholar. So he thought he would go, and he came with an attitude of examining a young boy. But on seeing Bala Yati, he himself has recorded, he did not say anything, he did not pursue with his examining attitude. He remembered a character in Upanishad called Upakoshala. Now, Upakoshala was the disciple of a guru called Satyakama, who did not teach anything to this disciple for more than 12 years. And he went away for a period of 12 years without teaching anything. He was absent. At the end of this 12-year absence, when he returned, he found that this disciple had learnt everything. He asked him, who had taught you in my absence? He said, Agni had taught me. And he found this spiritual tejas in his face. Now he remembered this Upakoshala, this Shastri remembers this Upakoshala when he saw this Paramacharya as a young boy. That is, that kind of spiritual tejas had dawned on him in spite of his being young and in spite of him being unprepared for this great spiritual feat. Now, coming to his activities and teachings, his main teaching was about adherence to dharma. There are 7 volumes of Daivattin Kural, as it is known in Tamil, Voice of God in English. Now, if you go through those 7 volumes, what you will find is his emphasis on dharma. Dharmo Vishwasya Jagata Pratishtha. It is dharma which is holding the world together. Dharma Dharana Dharma Yityahuhu Dharmo Dharayati Prajaha. So goes Mahabharata. So it is dharma which is holding us together. Dharma eva hato hanti dharmo rakshati rakshitah. If you follow dharma, if you protect dharma, dharma will protect you. If you violate dharma, dharma will trouble you. So this dharma, which is at the base of all our activities, all our attitudes was the one which led Paramacharya in all his personal activities as well as in all his teachings and setting examples. In all this, he stuck to dharma in letter and spirit, and he wanted us to imbibe that spirit. In this process, he emphasized the primacy of karma. That is why he said those who are qualified for doing Sandhya Vandanam should do Sandhya Vandanam without fail. You cannot deviate from your path of duty and say that I am equally religious, I am equally spiritual, I am equally devoted, I am doing Parayana of Vishnu Sahasranama, I am doing Parayana of Lalita Sahasranama without doing Sandhya Vandanam or without doing your Swadharma. Swadharma is dictated by Varna and Ashrama Dharma. Swadharma is not dictated by what many modern teachers misguide us. Swadharma is dictated only by Varna and Ashrama Dharma as stipulated in Vedas and Shastra. This is the teaching of Paramacharya. If you are celebrating the Jayanti, this is the basic teaching which we should imbibe, because this is one which is being distorted in many fora today. Now, while establishing primacy of karma as laid down in Dharma Shastras, you should do it with a sense of bhakti. Then only this, and you should offer this karma to Bhagavan as arpana. You should not claim the fruit of that karma. If you keep doing that, chitta shuddhi will happen. Mind will become pure. And this itself is puja. You don't have to do a separate puja if you cannot find time. All your time is spent in this basic religious activities, Swadharma activities, and maybe in Paropakara activities. Then there is no need for you to do puja. Vedo nityam adhiyatam taduditam karma svanushthiyatam. Teneshasya vidhiyatam apachitihi. Tene ishasya apachitihi vidhiyatam. The puja of Ishvara is already over by doing your swadharma, karma svanushthiyatam. This is what Adi Shankara said. This is what Paramacharya has been emphasizing. In fact, he used to tell the story of a Raja and a servant. Raja has laid down certain duties for the servant. Now, servant is not doing any of those duties. He goes and stands in front of the king and keeps on praising him day in and day out. Now, if the Raja is foolish, he will reward this servant. If the Raja is wise, he will punish this servant. This is what he said. Because the servant has not done his duty, he is simply standing there praising him. This is what Ishvara will do to us. If we stand in front of Ishvara and keep praising him, read his Parayana, Shlokas and this and that, without doing our Swadharma. This is the example which we have to remember, which Paramacharya taught us. Now, if you keep doing Swadharma, when the Chitta Shuddhi happens, Atma Gunas will develop. There are 8 Atma Gunas like Satya, Daya, etc. Now, these Atma Gunas will develop. And for Atma Gunas to develop, we have to be attentive. So, in other words, not only we have to keep doing our karma, we have to be attentive in developing Atma Gunas. The two have to go simultaneously. Now, this he taught us through various events. Now, I will not go into events which are popularly construed as miracles, which Paramacharya has shown on his disciples, on his devotees, out of sheer compassion. They are being termed as miracles. Now, we are not interested in seeing Paramacharya as a miracle monger. That's a very wrong perception. We should see Paramacharya as an exemplar of dharma, as an exemplar of Vedic teachings, as an exemplar of guiding us on our spiritual path. Now, that guidance will not come if you see him as a miracle monger. So, I will not go into that kind of stories. I will confine myself to stories which will teach us dharma. Now, he taught Satyam, truth. One of his disciples, he found his devotees, he was traveling to Kanchipuram on a railway pass, which was meant only for official use. He found it out in his own way. And he asked him, show me your railway pass. He showed him. Then he found that the railway pass had been misused for a visit to Kanchipuram for darshan. He said, don't do it hereafter. This is how truth has to be taught. This is how truth has to be practiced. Truth is not simply confined to speech, it is confined to action. That is how he showed us this. Another example of truth. One Chettiar had come to Kanchipuram and had donated Mangalas Thirumangalyam, the symbol of married woman, which is given at the time of marriage to the girl. Now he had prepared it out of gold and maybe 100 or so of these Thirumangalyams he handed over to Acharya. Now one of these was given by Acharya to a girl's party who had visited him the next day. And the girls' party took it home, and then when they checked, they found that it was not pure gold. They came back and informed Acharya, of course, in a very respectful, in a very diffident manner. But Acharya took it seriously. He stood on the top of a bench and he said, this is what has happened. I am guilty of untruth. He took the guilt of untruth on himself. And then he, by openly admitting in front of the large public group, he said that whatever dosha has accrued to me, I am now divesting it. See, look at the attitude. He could have handled it in an entirely different manner. He didn't. That's what any of us would have done. Okay, it's all right. You give another one to her. He didn't do that. He gave another new one to the party. That's a byproduct. That's the incidental. But what he did was to announce his dosha to the public. He took the fault on himself. Now, another facet of his personality was simplicity. He taught us that our life should be absolutely as simple as possible. No unnecessary expenditure of even one paisa on our personal ends. He was very clear on that. He said you should not take coffee, you should not buy silk saris, etc., etc. You should not celebrate Upanayanam, Vivaham, etc. with all fanfare. No need. He taught us. And he showed it by example. The Matham had a tradition of traveling in palanquin, the Acharya traveling in palanquin with a retinue of elephants, horses, camels, etc. Now, with a Raja Chhatra on his head and all with all royal paraphernalia. It was all part of the system granted by tradition for generations of Acharyas. But he discarded all of that for the sake of simplicity, for the sake of setting an example, not because it is wrong. It is not wrong. There was nothing wrong with that. After all, this is granted by tradition, granted by Shastra. But he wanted to set an example to ignorant people like us. So he discarded all of that. And we know how he was traveling barefooted, long padayatras, without any of the paraphernalia. Now, another teaching, important teaching, is control of anger. That is something which is required for all of us incessantly. Now, one way he taught us how to control anger is when you are about to get into a bout of anger, think of your own faults. You get angry because of somebody else's fault, as if you are totally free from faults. At the same time, you think of your own faults that will completely erase your anger. The same attitude he showed in a different context. He said, now we all start teaching others, do this, don't do this, don't do that. And we think we are sitting on a high moral pedestal and we think we have not committed any sins. But if you sit in isolation and think of all the sins that you have committed yourself, you will come to know that Bhagavan has been extraordinarily compassionate in giving us food 3 times a day. We are not eligible to get 3 times food a day. Our sins do not permit us to have this luxury. But Bhagavan has been so compassionate. But that is the case of Bhagavan's compassion towards us. What should be our attitude towards others? So the concept of compassion, concept of daya, he showed, he taught us not only through words, but also through various instances in his own personal life. When he was in Sri Shailam in Andhra Pradesh, when he found a lot of hill tribals coming and having darshan, during lunchtime, he ordered extra laddus to be prepared and served in plenty, in abundance, in each leaf. People were wondering why so many laddus are being served and we cannot eat. And he also told them, don't take the trouble of eating all the laddus. If you cannot eat, no problem. Leave aside. So this was another mystery to those who were there. The mystery was solved when all the laddus were left back on those leaves, and all the leaves were thrown away to those tribal people, because tribal people were used to eating from these leaves which have been eaten by others. This was the tradition. You cannot change that overnight. And he understood that. See, look at the practical aspect of it. He understood that, and he wanted them, if you go and give them laddus, they will not eat. If you give them laddus in this manner, they will eat. This is what he understood. This is what he made us practice. This is the compassion. This is the real compassion. Another, in one of his Andhra trips, in one of the remote villages, when he was camping and doing his Chandramoleshwara Puja, a boy came, was totally unknown to the Matha. He came during hours when nobody noticed him, maybe early in the morning, and left a basket of bilva leaves. And those bilva leaves are being used by him for the daily puja with great happiness. And he wanted to know who is this person. Nobody knew, because the bilva leaves were found there on the pyal every day, but nobody knew from where it came. Then finally they found, somebody kept a watch and found there was a boy, and he said the boy should be brought before him. Then he asked that boy, what you want? And he was surprised by the prarthana of the boy. The boy prayed that he should get moksha. He said, Acharya said, no big scholars have asked for moksha. And he said, okay, granted. The boy left. Now, after many years, when Paramacharya was in Kanchipuram, when this boy died a natural death, he remembered the occasion. He went for a bath at that very moment. He went for a bath, and he came back to his seat after the bath. And at that time, they got a telegram saying this boy has died. He said, that is the way I took a bath, and then I granted him moksha. I ensured that he gets moksha. This is the kind of compassion which he has shown us. Now, this is being Advaita Pitha. We have to concentrate on Advaita. Before that, before going to the level of Advaita Jnana, one has to do all this Swadharma, development of Atma Gunas. And for development of Atma Gunas, you have to be liberal with your Ishta Dharmas and Purta Dharmas. We just referred to simplicity. That is, reducing your own wants so that you can help others. That is the basic principle. Ishta Dharmas are, Ishta and Purta, both these are as per Shastra. These dharmas are for public good, not for private good. Now, Ishta dharmas are religious activities, that is Veda Parayana, puja in temples, etc., for public good. Purta dharmas are secular activities for public good, like distribution of water, annadanam, construction of roads, even construction of temples, even construction of aprakarya centers, etc., etc. Now, Shastra says you should spend your money on Ishta Dharmas and Purta Dharmas after fulfilling your own personal needs. Now, our own personal needs, there is no end. So, Paramacharya made it very clear that you should reduce as much as possible, your personal end, so that you can spend on Ishtadharmas and Purtadharmas liberally. Now, to that end, he said, Vedas, which were not in a very fertile, growing, blossoming situation during his time, he was very worried that Vedas are not blossoming. This land of Vedas, those who are studying Vedas, number of people is shrinking every day. Vedas are not prospering. So he established a lot of Veda Pathashalas. And how will these Veda Pathashalas will survive? By people adopting this concept of Ishtadharma and Purtadharma. That is why he introduced this Pidi Arishi, the term, handful of rice scheme, so that you will donate some food to these Vidyarthis and Adhyapakas. And to this end, he established Veda Dharma Shastra, Paripalana Sabha, Veda Rakshana, Nidhi, Trust, and so on. And if you have traveled further on the path of Jnana, and if you want to know about Advaita, after all, our Pitha is Advaita Pitha, he established Advaita Sabha, where Advaita discussions, debates took place every year, and Vidwans were honored. Those traditions are all continuing in a bigger way these days. I am only talking about his time. Now, the succeeding Acharyas, 69th and 70th Acharyas, have taken all these steps in a very, very glorious way, have established Vedas, Shastras, Advaita, etc. on very firm footing. A lot of initiatives have been taken or being taken every day. I am not going into those now. Paramacharya also started with the Agama Shilpa Sadas, so that our Agamas and Shilpa Shastras, folk arts, etc. are protected. And for reviving Vedic shakhas, which were about to die for want of practitioners, he sent people all over India and found out some unknown shakhas like Maitrayani Shakha of Yajurveda, like Ranayani Shakha of Jaimini Shakha of Samaveda, etc. He revived them. He propagated them. Now, in fact, we have these shakhas are on a very firm footing these days. And a place called Tiruvadai Mardur, Madhyarjuna Kshetra in Tamil Nadu, where Bhagavan Parameshwara himself came and spoke. Satyam Advaitam Eva. Truth is Advaitam only, to Adi Shankara. Now, our Paramacharya went there and established a Shankara Matham where this Shivalinga is, Pratima is established with a hand coming out of that Shivalinga, proclaiming that Advaita is the only truth. Now, he called 108, this is in 1963, he called 108 Vidwans of Advaita Vidwans and honored them with silk shawls after offering those shawls at the feet of Adi Shankara. Now, this kind of spiritual example which he set, many examples can be mentioned. Tiruppave, Tiruvampave. He never permitted anyone to develop any hostility towards Vishishtadvaita or Dvaita. Everyone should follow his sampradaya and try to advance on the spiritual path as ordained by the Acharya of that sampradaya. He was very clear on that. So he had very cordial relations with the practitioners of all those matas, and he propagated Tiruppavai and Tiruvampavai for that reason equally. Coming to secular aspects, one example only I will give before I close this short lecture. When our Indian Constitution was being drafted and ushered in Parliament, there was no chapter on fundamental rights. Right to practice religion was not there in the draft Constitution. And this went to the notice of Paramacharya. And he took it so seriously. And he got it drafted, sent it to Delhi, and by his sheer tapobala, power of tapas, power of penance, he got this chapter included in the constitution. Now, today we are enjoying the right to practice religion, unfettered right. That is because of this great compassion, great foresight which was shown by our Paramacharya. Now, he has set the path. It is for us to follow the path. The path is being brightly lit by the succeeding Acharyas, the 69th Acharya, the 70th Acharya. 69th Acharya, Jayanti Swamigal established Janakalyan and so many other activities. Ramajanma Bhumi was very active and so on. Similarly, now our present Acharya has introduced so many initiatives. Every day there's a new initiative coming from Srimatham, Sampradaya for girls and so on. Now, all these are in the same direction, on the same path of Dharma, which was set up, brightly lit by our Paramacharya. As I said, we have no time to go into all the aspects of all the activities, all the facets of his personality. It's impossible. Even in a lecture which will run into hundreds of hours. But we have tried to look from a very long distance, a small, a short glimpse into his multifaceted, glorious personality, so that we can derive whatever little we can derive. Even in Swalpamapi Dharmasya, as Bhagavad Gita says, even a little dharma will take us a long way. Yadyad acharati shresthaha tatta devetaro janaha sayad pramanam kurute lokas tadanu vartate. Whatever a leader does, the others follow. So that is what Paramacharya has shown us. So we have to not only do it in our own life, we have to set up our own examples in our own personal life. We are all leading a family, we are all leading a group, we are leading something or the other. So everywhere we should keep this in mind. That is what Paramacharya has taught us. Never leave dharma. So with this message, I think I have taken more time than was allotted to me. I try to close this lecture with again reiterating my thanks to Kamakoti Bhakti Kendra, led by Himabindu Paida ji and others, other organizers, for having given me this opportunity. And I understand that a number of children are now going to render Adi Shankara Virachita Stotras. I am eager to listen to them, as all of you are. Thank you very much. Nama Parvati Pataye Hara Hara Mahadeva Sarvatra Govinda Nama Sankirtanam Govinda Govinda Shri Jagadambikaye Jaya Jaya.
Thank you, Kannan sir, on speaking and sharing the wonderful information about Paramacharya Swami Varu. You have nicely told us how truth should be confined to speech and how he practiced, and he showed us by practicing simplicity himself and how to control our anger and how to show compassion. Now we move on to the next segment of our program, which is chanting of Adi Shankaracharya Stotrams. Though the majority of his works concentrate on Advaita, he equally pitches on Bhakti, since he believed that Bhakti was a very essential step for Chitta Suddhi, without which self-realization was not possible. Hence, he composed verses and hymns in praise of every Lord, the majority of which were concentrated on Vishnu, Shiva, and Shakti. He wanted the people to worship the Lord in any form of their wish, the results of which must finally purify the mind and make it fit for self-realization. Guru Stotram. Guru is Ishvara in human form, but who is, however, free from the triple functions of creation, preservation, and destruction, which pertain only to Ishvara. If we have absolute faith in him, the Guru will shower us with all for which we go to God. In fact, God is needed only when we cannot find a Guru. Guru Bhakti is even higher and more efficacious than Daiva Bhakti. I now invite Chiranjeevi Jayant Jandiala to recite the stotrams.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Narayana Sanamarambam, Vyasa Shankara Madhyamam, Asmat Acharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padama Shankaram Loka Shankaram Apara Karuna Sindhum.
We look a little.
Jnanadam Shanti Rupinam Sri Chandrasekhara Gurum Pranami Mudavahamam Vaham Parityaja Maunam Vadadati Dinsha Vraja Vrajan Maratasya Prareshat Pradesham Madhu Sindha Madhusyanti Vacha Janan Dharma Marge Nyayam Sri Jayendra Guru Paramparam.
Thank you, Jayan. Pratasmarana Stotram. This is a prayer composed by Sri Adi Shankaracharya, consisting of 3 stanzas in which the mind, manas, speech, vak, and body kaya of the individual are sought to be dedicated to the Supreme Spirit. I now invite Shrikar and Shreya Nalagunda to chant the Pratasmarana Stotram.
Pratasmarami hridi samsprahadaatmatattvam Satchit sukham paramaham sagatim duriyam Yat swapna jagara sushiptimavaiti nityam Tad brahma nishkalamaham acha bhuta sankha Pratirvijami manasa vachasa magamyam vacho vibhanti nikhila yadanugrahena yaneti neti vachanai nigama vocham stam deva deva majamachyutamarugyam Pratirnamami tamasa paramarkavarnam purnam sanatana padam purushato Makhyam yasmin nidam jagadaye shamaye shamurtau Rajavam bhujanga maiva pratibhasitam vai shlokatrayamidam punyam lokatraya vibhushanam pratah kale pathedyastu sagachet paramam padam.
Thank you, Shrikar and Shreya. The next stotram is Ganesha Pancharatnam. Pancharatnam means 5 jewels. The meaning of this stotra clearly explains the qualities and nature of God Ganesha, along with the benefits of praying to him. I now invite Sweta and Karthik to chant Ganesha Pancharatnam.
Namaste. Mudakarata sada Mukthi sadakam kaladaravetam sekam Nirasilokarakshakam Anayakaikanayakam Vinashide Pataityakam Nitashubhashurashakam Namamitam Vinayakam. नतेतरारि भीकरं नभोधिकार्कभास्वरं न मत्सुरारि निर्जनं नताधिकापदुत्तरं शुनेश्वरं गिरीश्वरं गजेश्वरं गणेश्वरं महेश्वरं तमाश्रये परात्परं निरन्तरम् समस्तलोकशङ्करं निरस्तदैत्यकुञ्जरं दरेतरोदरं वरं वरे भवग्रमक्षरं कृपाकरं क्षमाकरं मुदाकरं यशस्करं मनस्करं नमस्कृतं नमस्करोमि भास्वरम् अकिञ्चनार्तिमाजनं चिरन्तनोक्तिभाजनं पुरारिपूर्वनन्दनं सुरारिगर्वचर्वनं प्रपञ्चनाशभीषणं जनं जयादिभूषणं कपोलदानवारणं भजे पुराणवारणम् नितान्तकान्तदन्तकान्तिमन्तकान्तकात्मजम् अचिन्त्यरूपमन्तहीनमन्तराय चिन्तनं हृदन्तरे निरन्तरं वसन्तमेव योगिनं तमेकदन्तमेव तं विचिन्तयामि सन्ततम् महागणेश पञ्चरत्नमादरेण योऽन्वहं प्रजल्पति प्रभातके उदिस्वरे गणेश्वरं हरोगतावदोषतं सुसाहितीं सुपुत्रतं समाहितायुरष्टभूति मभ्युपैति सोचिरात्ते
Thank you, Sweta and Karthik. Our next stotram is Sharda Bhujangam. The octave to Sharda is written in a meter with snake-like movement. Sharda is the goddess of the temple town of Sringeri and is an incarnation of goddess Saraswati. Adi Shankara has established one of his mats in this town, which is on the shores of river Tunga. I now invite Chiranjeevi Karthik and Kumari Kirtana Panchavati to chant Sharda Bhujangam.
ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः श्री गणेशाय नमः श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः भजे शारदाम्बा भजस्रं मदम्बा भजे शारदाम्बा भजस्रं मदम्बा भजे शारदाम्बा भजस्रं मदम्बा भजे शारदाम्बा भजस्रं मदम्बा सुभक्षोजकुम्भां सुधापूर्णकुम्भां प्रसादावलम्बां प्रपुण्यावलम्बा सदा सेन्दुबिम्बां सदा नोष्टबिम्बं भजे शारदाम्बा भजस्रं मदम्बा भजे शारदाम्बा अजस्रं मदम्बा भजे शारदाम्बा अजस्रं मदम्बा भजे शारदाम्बा अजस्रं मदम्बा भजे शारदाम्बा अजस्रं मदम्बा कटाक्षे दयाद्रां करिज्ञानमुद्रां कलाभिर्विनिद्रां कलापै सुभद्रां पुरस्त्रीं विनिद्रां पुरस्तुङ्गभद्रां भजे शारदाम्बा अजस्रं मदम्बा भजे शारदाम्बा अजस्रं Madamba. Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba. Bhaje Sharadamba Ajasram Madamba. Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba. Lolam Swabhakti Kapala Yashasri Kapola Karitva Kshamalam Karat Pratnalolam Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba Susimantaveni Trishani Jitaini Namatkirvani Namadvajapani Sudhamantarasya Mula Chintaveni Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Ajasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Ajasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba Sushantam Sudeham Trigandekachantam Lasatsallatai Anantyam Achintyam Smrutam Tam Vaisai Sarga Purvastitam Tam Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Ajasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Ajasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba Kurange Turange Mrigendre Kagendre Marade Madhebe Mahokshe Diruda Mahatyam Navamyam Sada Samarupam Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Ajasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba Jwalatkanti Vanhim Jaganmohanangim Bhaje Manasambhoja Shubhranta Bringim Nija Stotra Sangita Nitya Prabhangim Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba Bhavambojanetra Sambhujamana Lasanmandahasa Prabhavatra Chinnam Charachancharacharudatam Gaganam Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Ajasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Ajasram Madamba Bhaje Sharadamba Majasram Madamba Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.
Thank you, Karthik and Kirtana. The next stotram is the Ganesha Bhujangam stotram. The Ganesha Bhujangam lyrics are composed in a unique way, explaining the Ganesha in his dancing form. Worshipping the Nritya Ganapati is considered very auspicious and is regarded as a great way to meditate on the Lord. Now I invite Srimati Manikyavalli Garu to chant Ganesha Bhujangam.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. रणक्षुद्रघण्टा निनादाभिरामं चलत्ताण्डवोत्तण्ड वत्पद्मतालं लसत्तुन्दिलाङ्गो हरिव्यालहारं गणाधीशमीशान सूनुं तमीडे गणाधीशमीशान सूनुं तमीडे ध्वनिध्वंसवीणा लयोल्लासिवक्त्रं स्फुरच्छण्डदण्डोल्लवद्बीजपूरं गलत्तर्पसौगन्ध्य लोलालिमालं गणाधीशमीशान सूनुं तमीडे प्रकाशजक्पारक्त रत्नप्रसून प्रवाल प्रभात ऋणज्योतिरेकं प्रलम्बोदरं वक्त्रतुण्डैकदन्तं गणाधीशमीशान सूनुं तमीडे विचित्रस्फुरद्रत्न माला किरीटं किरीटोल्लसच्चन्द्र रेखा विभूषं विभूषैकभूषं भवध्वंसहेतुं गणाधीशमीशान सूनुं तमीडे उदं चद्भुजा वल्लरी दृश्यमूलो चलद्भूलता विभ्रमभ्राजदक्षं मरुत्सुन्दरी चामरैः सेव्यमानं गणाधीशमीशान सूनुं तमीडे स्फुरन्निष्ठुरा लोलपिङ्गाक्षितारं कृपाकोमलोदार लीलावतारं कलाबिन्दुगं गीयते योगिवर्यै गणाधीशमीशान सूनुं तमीडे यमेकाक्षरं निर्मलं निर्विकल्पं गुणातीतमानन्द माकारशून्यं परं पारमोङ्कार वाम्नाय गर्भं वदन्ति प्रगल्भं पुराणं तमीडे चिदानन्दसन्द्राय शान्ताय तुभ्यं नमो विश्वकर्त्रै च हर्त्रै च तुभ्यं नमोऽनन्तलीलाय कैवल्यभासे नमो विश्वबीज प्रसीदेश सूनो इमं सुस्तवं प्रातरुत्थाय भक्त्या पठेद्यस्तु मर्त्यो लभेत् सर्वकामान् गणेश प्रसादेन सिद्ध्यन्ति वाचो गणेशे विभौ दुर्लभं किं प्रसन्ने जय जय शंकर हर हर शंकर.
Thank you, Manikyavalli Rao Garu. The next stotram is Subramanya Bhujangam. Subramanya Bhujangam is a stotra sung under the inspiration by Sri Adi Shankara at Tiruchendur. When he meditated upon Sri Subramanya, he became aware of a self-luminous light shining in his heart, and words came out his mouth in extempore in Bhujanga meter. Now I invite Twisha Sri Raman to chant Subramanya Bhujangam.
सदा बालरूपापि विघ्नादिहन्त्रि महादन्ति वक्त्रापि पञ्चास्य मान्या विधीन्द्रादिप्रायगणेशाभिधामे विदत्तां श्रियं कोऽपि कल्याणमूर्ति न जानामि शब्दं न जानामि चार्थं न जानामि पद्यं न जानामि गद्यं चिदेकाक्षरस्य हृदि द्योतमे मे मुखान्निस्सरन्ति ईश्वापि चित्रम्. मयूराधिरूढं महावाक्यगूढं मनोहारिदेहं महच्चित्तगेहं महीदेवदेवं महावेदभावं महादेवबालं भजे लोकपालम् यदा सन्निधानं गता मानवामि भवाम्भोधिपारं गतास्ते तदैव इति व्यञ्जयन् सिन्धुतीरे य आस्ते समीरे पवित्रं पराशक्तिपुत्रम् यदाब्धे तरङ्गालयं यान्ति तुङ्गा तथैवापदसन्निधौ सेवतां मे इति वोर्मिपङ्क्तिर्नना दर्शयन्तं सदा भावये हृत्सरोजे कुहन्तं गिरौ मन्निवासे नराये धिरूढा तदा पर्वते राजते धिरूढा इतीव ब्रुवन् गन्धशौलाधिरूढ स देवो मुदे मे सदा षण्मुखोऽस्तु महाम्भोधितीरे महापापचोरे मुनीन्द्रानुकूले सुगन्धाख्यशैले गुहायां वसन्तं स्वभासालसन्तं जनार्तिं हरन्तं श्रयामो गुहन्तम् लसत्स्वर्णगेहे नृणां कामदोहे सुमस्तोमचन्नमाणिक्यमञ्चे समुद्यस्सहस्रार्कतुल्यप्रकाशं सदा भावये कार्तिकेयं सुरेशम् रणध्वंसके मञ्जुलेत्यन्तशोणे मनोहारि लावण्यपीयूषपूर्णे मनःषट्पदो मे भव क्लेशसप्त सदा मोदतां स्कन्दते पादपद्मे सुवर्णाभिदिव्याम्बरैर्भासमाना क्वणत्किङ्किणी मेखला शोभमाना लसत्तेम पत्तेन विद्योत्तमाना कतिं भावये स्कन्दते दीप्यमाना पुलिन्दे क्षणकन्यका भोगतुङ्ग स्तनालिङ्गान सक्तकाश्मीररागं नमस्याम्यहं तारकारे तवोर स्वभक्तावने सर्वदा सानुरागम् विधौ क्लुप्तदण्डान् स्वलीलादृदाण्डान् निरस्तेमशुण्डान् द्विषत्कालगण्डान् हतेन्द्रियषण्डान् जगत्प्राणषण्डान् सदा ते प्रचण्डान् श्रये बाहुदण्डान् सदा शारदा षण्मृगाङ्गा यदिस्युः समुद्यन्त एव स्थिता श्वेतसमन्तात् सदा पूर्णबिम्बा कलङ्कैश्वहीना तदा त्वन्मुखानां ब्रुवे स्कन्दं सायम् पुरन्मन्दहासै सहंसानि चञ्चल वृङ्गसङ्घोज्ज्वलानि सुधास्यन्दिबिम्बाधराणि शसूनो तवालोकये षण्मुखाम्भोरुहानि विशालेषु कर्णान्तदीर्घेष्वजस्रं दयास्यन्दिषु द्वादशस्तीक्ष्णेषु मयीषत्कटाक्ष सत्कृपातीतश्वेत भवेत्ये दयाशीलकानामहानि सुताम्भोद्भवो मेसि जीवेति श्रद्धा जपन्मन्त्रमीशो मुदा जिघ्रते यान् जगद्भारभृत्यो जगन्नाथकेभ्यः किरीटोज्ज्वलेभ्यो नमो मस्तकेभ्यः रत्नकेयूरहाराभिराम शलत्कुण्डलशील गण्डभागः कटोपीतवासा करे चारुशक्ति पुरस्तान् ममास्तां पुरारेस्तनूजः इहायाहि वत्सेति हस्तान् प्रसार्या ह्यवत्यादरा शङ्करे मातुरङ्गात् समुत्पत्यतातं श्रयन्तं कुमारं हराश्रीलशिष्टागात्रं भजे बालमूर्तिम् कुमारेश सूने गुह स्कन्दमिसेना पते शक्तिपाणे मयूराधिरूढ पुलिन्दात्मजा कान्त भक्तार्तिहारिन् प्रभो तारकारे सदा रक्षमास्वम् प्रशान्तेन्द्रिया नष्टसंज्ञे विचेष्टे कफोद्गारि वक्त्रे भयोत्कम्पि गात्रे प्रयाणोन्मुखे मह्यनाथे तदानीं धृतं मे दयालो भवाग्रे गुहत्वम् कृतान्तस्य दूतेषु चण्डेषु कोपात् दहच्छिन्दी भिन्देति मां तच्चयत्सु मयूरं समारुह्य मा भैरेति त्वं पुरशक्तिपाणिर्ममायाहि शीघ्रम् प्रणम्या सकृत् पादयोस्ते पतित्वा प्रसाद्य प्रभो प्रार्थयेनेकवारं न वक्तुं क्षमोऽहं तदानीं कृपाब्धे न कार्यान्तकाले मनागुप्यपेक्षा सहस्राण्डभोक्ता त्वया शूरनामा हतस्तारकः सिंहवक्त्रस्वदैत्यः ममान्तः हृदिस्थं मनक्लेशमेकं न हंसिं प्रभो किं करोमि क्वयामि अहं सर्वदा दुःखभारावसन्नो भवान् दीनबन्धुस्त्वदन्यं न याचे भवद्भक्तिरोधं सदा क्लुप्तबाधं ममाधिं धृतं नाशयो मासु तत्त्वम् अस्मारकुष्ठक्षयक्ष प्रमेह ज्वरोन्मादकुल्मादिरोगा महान्तः पिशाचाश्व सर्वे भवत्पत्रभूतिं विलोक्य क्षणात् तारकारे द्रवन्ति ऋषिस्कन्दमूर्ति श्रुतौ स्कन्दकीर्ति मुखे मे पवित्रं सदा तच्चरित्रम् करे तस्य कृत्यं विपुस्तस्य भृत्यं गृहे सन्तु लीना ममाशेषभावः मुनीनामुताहो नृणां भक्तिभाजाम् अभीष्टप्रदा सन्ति सर्वत्र देवाः नृणामन्त्यजानामपि स्वार्थदाने गुहादेवमन्ये न जाने कलत्रं सुता बन्धुवर्ग पशुर्वा नरो वाथ नारी गृहे ये मदीया यजन्तो नमन्तः स्तुवन्तो भवन्तं स्मरन्तश्वते सन्तु सर्वे कुमार मृगा पक्षिणो दंशका ये च दुष्टा तथा व्याधयो बाधका ये मदङ्गे भवच्छक्तितीक्ष्णाघ्रभिन्ना सुदूरे विनश्यन्तु चे चूर्णितकंशशैले जनित्री पिता च स्वपुत्रापराधं सहेते न किं देवसेनाधिनाथ अहं चाति बालो भवान् लोकतातः क्षमस्वापराधं समस्तं महेश नमः केहिने शक्तये चापि तुभ्यं नमः शाकतुभ्यं नमः कुक्कुटाय नमः सिन्धवे सिन्धुदेशाय तुभ्यं पुनः स्कन्दमूर्ते नमस्ते नमोऽस्तु जयानंद भूमन जयापारधामन जयामोघकीर्ते जयानंद मूर्ते जयानंद सिंधो जयाशेष बंधो जयत्वं सदा मुक्तिदानेश शून्ये भुजंगाख्यावृत्तेन क्लिप्तं स्वं यः पठेत् भक्तियुक्तो गृहं सम्प्रणम्य स पुत्रान् कळत्रं धनं दीर्घमायुः लभेत् स्कन्दसायुज्यमन्ते नरः सः। Shri Krishna.
Thank you, Twisha and Srimati Sri Raman. The next one is Mahalakshmi Ashtakam. Mahalakshmi Ashtakam is a great stotram composed by the head of Devas, Lord Indra, to praise Devi Mahalakshmi. This stotra is present in Padma Purana and contains 8 stanzas. The lyrics explain the divine nature of goddess Mahalakshmi. I invite Hitesh and Avinash to chant Mahalakshmi Ashtakam.
Namastestu Mahamaya Sri Pite Surapurita Shankar Chakra Gada Haste Mahalakshmi Namostute Namaste Garuda Rude Kola Suran Pankari Sarva Papa Hare Devi Mahalakshmi Namostute सर्वज्ञ सर्ववरदे सर्वदुष्ट भयंकरे सर्वदुःखहरे देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते सिद्धि बुद्धि प्रदे देवी भुक्ति मुक्ति प्रदायिनी मंत्रमूर्ते सदा देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते अजंता रहते देवी आदिशक्ति महेश्वरी ओग संभूते महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते। Hitesh, next is your turn.
Hitesh? Hitesh? Hitesh?
He is on mute. Hitesh, you're on mute.
I think something is wrong with his connection. He seems frozen there.
Just give him 1 minute. There's some connection problem. He's just logging in. 1 minute. Kameshwari, can you just track him?
अग्नितरती देवी आदिशक्ति महेश्वरी योगनियोग संभूते महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते स्थूल सूक्ष्म महारद्र महाशक्ति महोदरे महापाप हरे देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते पद्मासनस्थिते देवी परब्रह्म स्वरूपिणी परमेश्वरी जगन्माता महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते श्वेतंबरे देवी नानालंकारभूषिते जगत्स्थिते जगन्माता महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते महालक्ष्मी अष्टकं श्रोत्रमिष्पते भक्तिमानः सर्वसिद्धिमवाप्नोति अर्जुन प्राप्नोति सर्वदा एककाले पते नित्यं महापाप विनाशनं कालं यस्पते नित्यं धनधान्य संबंधितः कालं यस्पते नित्यं महाशत्रु विनाशिनं महालक्ष्मी नित्यं प्रसन्न वरदा शुभा.
Thank you, Avinash and Hitesh. The next stotram is Kankadara stotram. One day, Adi Shankara, as a young boy, was on Bhiksha for alms to prepare for his lunch and happened upon the doorstep of a very poor Brahmin lady. Having nothing edible in her home, the lady frantically searched her house only to find a single amla fruit, which she then hesitantly offered to Shankara. Shankara was so moved by the incredible kindness and selflessness of this woman that he burst forth into poetry and sang 22 stanzas in praise of Goddess Lakshmi. I invite Srimati Kalamalini ji to chant Kankadara Stotram.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Kankadara Stotram. Angam Harehe Pulakabhushanam Ashrayanti Bringanganeva Mukula Bharanam Tamalam Angikrita Kila Vibhuti Apangalila Mangalyadastu Mama Mangala Devatayaha मुग्धा मुहुर्विदधति वदने मुरारेः प्रेमत्रपा प्रणिहितानि गधा गधानि मालादृशोर्मधुकरीव महोत्पलेया सा मे श्रियं दिशतु सागरसम्भवायाः विश्वामरेन्द्रपदविभ्रमदानदक्षम् आनन्दहेतुरधिकं मुरविद्विषोऽपि ईशन्निक्षीदतु मयि क्षणम् ईक्षणार्धम् इन्दीवरोदरसहोदरम् इन्दिरायाः आमीलिताक्षमधिगम्य मुदा मुकुन्दम् आनन्दकन्दमनिमेषमनङ्गतन्त्रम् आकेकरस्तिक्तकनीनिकपक्ष्मनेत्रम् भूत्यै भवेन्मम भुजङ्गशयाङ्गनायाः बाह्वन्तरे मधुजितश्रुतकौस्तुभेया हारावलीव हरिनीलमयी विभाति कामप्रदा भगवतोऽपि कटाक्षमाला कल्याणमावहतु मे कमलालयायाः कालाम्बुदाललितोरसि कैटभारेः धाराधरे स्फुरति या तडितङ्गनेव मातुः समस्तजगतां महनीयमूर्तिः भद्राणि मे दिशतु भार्गव नन्दनायाः प्राप्तं पदं प्रथमतः किल यत् प्रभावान् माङ्गल्यभाजि मधुमातिनि मन्मतेन मय्यापते ददिहमन्तरम् ईक्षणार्थम् पन्दालसं च मकरालय कन्यकायाः दद्यादयानुपवनो द्रविणाम्बुधाराम् अस्मिन्न किञ्चन विहङ्गसिषौ विषण्णे दुष्कर्म घर्ममपनीय चिराय दूरम् नारायण प्रणयिनी नयनाम्बुवागः इष्टाविशिष्टमतयोऽपि यया दयार्द्र दृष्ट्या त्रिविष्टपदं सुलभं लभन्ते दृष्टिप्रहृष्टकमलोधर दीप्तिदृष्टां पुष्टिं कृषीष्ट मम पुष्करविष्टरायाः कीर्देवतेति गरुडध्वज सुन्दरीति शाकम्भरीति शशिशेखरवल्लभेति सृष्टिस्थितिप्रलयकेलिषु संस्थितायै तस्यै नमस्त्रिभुवनैकगुरोस्तरुण्यै श्रुत्यै नमोऽस्तु शुभकर्मफलप्रसूत्यै प्रत्यै नमोऽस्तु रमणीयगुणार्णवायै शक्त्यै नमोऽस्तु शतपत्रनिकेतनायै पुष्ट्यै नमोऽस्तु पुरुषोत्तमवल्लभायै नमोऽस्तु नालीकनिभाननायै नमोऽस्तु दुग्धोदि जन्मभूम्यै नमोऽस्तु सोमामृतसोदरायै नमोऽस्तु नारायणवल्लभायै सम्पत्कराणि सकलेन्द्रियनन्दनानि साम्राज्यदानविभवानि सरोरुहाक्षी त्वद्वन्दनानि दुरिताहरणोद्यतानि मामेव मातरनिशं कलयन्तु मान्ये यत्कटाक्षसमुपासना विधिः सेवकस्य सकलार्थसम्पदः सन्तनोति वचनाङ्गमानसैः त्वां मुरारिहृदयेश्वरीं भजे सरसिजनिलये सरोजहस्ते धवलतमां शुकगन्तमाल्यशोभे भगवती हरिवल्लभे मनोज्ञे त्रिभुवनभूतिकरी प्रसीद मह्यम् दिग्गस्तिभिः कनककुम्भमुखावसृष्ट स्वर्वाहिनी विमलचारुजलाप्लुताङ्गीम् प्रातर्नमामि जगतां जननीमशेष लोकादिनाथ गृहिणीम् अमृताब्धिपुत्रीं कमले कमलाक्षवल्लभे त्वं करुणापूरतरङ्गितैरभाङ्गैः अवलोकय मामकिञ्चनानां प्रथमं पात्रमकृत्रिमं दयायाः स्तुवन्ति ये स्तुतिभिरभूभिः अन्वहं त्रयीमयी त्रिभुवनमातरं रमां गुणाधिका गुरुतर भाग्यभागिन भवन्ति ते भुवि बुधभाविताशयाः इति श्रीमद् शंकराचार्य कृत श्री कनकधारा स्तोत्रं संपूर्णम्। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः।
Thank you, Kalamalini ji. The next stotram is Govindashtakam. Govindashtaka is a stotra on Lord Krishna, worshipping Govinda, who is supreme bliss, real knowledge, infinite and eternal, who appears manifold due to Maya, and who appears to the world, who appears as the world, who is the Lord of the earth and Shri, and who has no Lord to control him. He is Govinda. Now I invite Srimati Sita Raj to chant Govindashtakam.
गुरुभ्यो नमः। गोविन्दाष्टकम्। सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं नित्यमनाकाशं परमाकाशं कोष्ठप्राङ्गणरिङ्गणलोलमनायासं परमायासं मायाकल्पिततानाकारमनाकारं भुवनाकारं श्यामानादमनादं प्रणमद गोविन्दं परमानन्दम् मृत्स्नामत्सिखेति यशोदा ताडनशैशवसन्त्रासं व्याधितवक्त्रालोकितलोका लोकचतुर्थसलोकारिम् लोकत्रयपुरमूलस्तम्भं लोकालोकमनालोकम् लोकेशं परमेशं प्रणमद गोविन्दं परमानन्दम् त्रैवेष्टपरिवीरग्नमशित् पारग्नं भवरोहग्नं कैवल्यं नवनीताकारमनाहारं भुवनाकारं मैवल्यस्फुबसेदो वृत्तिविशेष भाषमनापाशं सैवं केवलशान्तं प्रणमद गोविन्दं परमानन्दम् गोपालं पूजीलाविग्रह गोपालं कुलगोपालं गोपीकेलन गोवर्धन कृति लीलालालित गोपालं गोपीर्निगदित गोविन्द स्फुट नामानं बहुनामानं गोपी गोचरदूरं प्रणमद गोविन्दं परमानन्दम् गोपीमण्डलगोष्ठीपेदं पेदावस्तमपेदापं सस्वगोगुरनिर्धूतोत्कृत तूलीदूषर सौभाग्यम् श्रद्धा भक्ति कृतानन्दम् अचिन्त्यं चिन्तित सन्तापम् चिन्तामणि महिमानं प्रणमद गोविन्दं परमानन्दम् स्नानानव्यकुलयोषितवस्त्रमुपाद यागमुपारूढं व्याधितसन्धिरदति Vastra Tadumubaharshantam Ta Nirdutattvaya Soga Vimokam Buddham Buddherantastam Sattamatra Sariram Pranamada Govindam Paramanandam Kantam Karana Karanamadi Anadim Kalamanapasam Kalimbi Kadakaliya Sirasi Mugundyantam Sutrudayantam Kalam Kalakaladidam Kalitashesham Kalitoshaknam Kalatrayagadihetum Pranamada Govindam Paramanandam Vrindavana Bhuvi Vindarakagana Vrindaratyam Vandeham Kunta Pamalamantasmera Sudanandam Sukrudanandam Mandyashesha Mahamuni Manasa Vandyananda Patatvanvam Vandyashesha Gunatim Pranamada Govindam Paramanandam Govindashtagametatatide Govindapidasetayo Govindachyuta Madhava Vishnu Gokulanayaka Krishneti Govindangiri Sarojatayana Sudha Jaladauta Samastaho Govindam Paramanandam Veda Mantastam Sasasam Pedi. This Sri Govindashtakam Samtam.
Thank you, Sita ji. The next is Achyutashtakam. Achyutashtakam is a simple yet wonderful hymn of 8 stanzas comprising the names of Lord Vishnu, with main emphasis on his incarnations Rama and Krishna. Acharya Shankara Bhagavad Pada compiles a collection of names of Lord Vishnu containing a deep meaning in them and remind us of the great pastimes of the Lord narrated in the Puranas. I invite Jayendra Nagaganapati Paida to chant Achyutashtakam.
Namaste. Achyutam Keshavam Ramanayanam Krishna Damodaram Vasudavaharam Sridharam Madhavam Govika Vallabham Janaki Nayakam Ramachandra Vajay Achyutam Keshavam Satya Madhavam Sridharam Radhika Rati Tam Indriya Madaram Chedasas Sundaram Daviki Nadanam Najam Sandaday Vajava Jaslava Shakrina Rupini Ina Janaki Dranaya Valevi Ava Achyat Kamsavat Asine Te Namaha Krishna Govardhana Rama Narayanam Sripata Vasdava Ashta Sridha Ashta Ataha Madhava Dwarshika Dwarka Naika Drapati Rakshika Raksha Shobita Sitaya Shobito Janakarani Puyata Karnaha Lakshma Navida Vana Raisel Augusta Shabushtu Raghava Potama Danuka Rastaka Nishagrit Dvaja Keshkam Savat Vamshika Vatakaha Podra Kobaka Soja Kala Vala Go Ka Potamam Savada Britidiot Yatavat Pasparad Basil Podava Prasad Vikram Vanaya Malasham Dostam Padret Royam Bag Jorshim Vajay Kuchita Kota Rajama Sat Katalam Kandayo Hara Hara K Yurakaram Kanjara Rajaram Kikirish Marshalam Shamalam Taj Ajash to Yamata this Tam Ramada Pratyam Pashash Puram Vedana Sundar Kadavisham Vaira Nisava Jariya Jaita Satvaram Namaste. Namaste.
Thank you, Jayendra. The next is Shiva Panchakshari Stotram. The lyrics of this stotram have a great meaning, describing Lord Shiva's divine qualities and praises his association with Panchakshari mantra Namah Shivaya. The Shiva Panchakshari Stotram lyrics are composed with in-depth meaning in a way to praise great Lord Shiva by the 5-lettered Panchakshari mantra Namah Shivaya, which represents the 5 basic elements, namely Prithvi, earth, Jala, water, Agni, fire, Vayu, air, and Akasha, space, tattvas, respectively. I now invite Chiranjeevi Nikhil to chant Shiva Panchakshari Stotram.
Namaste. Nagendraharaya Trilochanaaya Bhasmangaragaya Maheshwaraya Nityaya Suddhaya Digambaraya Tasmai Nakaraya Namah Shivaya Mandakini Salila Chandana Charchitaya Nandiswara Pramatanata Maheshwaraya Mandara Mukhya Bahupushpa Supujitaya Tasmai Makaraya Namah Shivaya Shivaya Gauri Vadanabja Brinda Suryaya Dakshadvara Nasakaya Srinila Kantaya Visabhadajaya Tasmai Sikaraya Namah Shivaya Vashishta Kumbodhava Gautamarya Munindra Devashita Sekharaya Chandrarka Vaishwanara Lochanaya Tasmai Vakaraya Namah Shivaya Yagna Swarupaya Jatadaraya Pinaka Hastaya Sanatanaya Divyaya Devaya Digambaraya Tasmai Yakaraya Namah Shivaya Panchaksharamidam Punyam Yapate Shivasannidau Shivalokam Shivena Sahamodate.
Thank you,
Jai Jai
Nikhil.
Shankara Har Har Shankara.
Thank you, Nikhil. The next stotram is Gangashtakam. Ganga is a goddess and our mother. According to the Puranas, the sight, name, and the touch of Ganga takes away all our sins. Ganga has been considered a sacred river since the Vedic age. Regular recitation of Gangashtakam gives peace of mind and keeps away all the evil from your life and makes you healthy, wealthy, and prosperous. I invite Chiranjeevi Kushal to chant Gangashtakam.
Namaste. Bhagavati Pavalila Moli Male Tavapaha Karamanu Parimanam Pranino Yesprishanti Amaranagar Shamara Grahininam Vigata Kalikalanka Tanka Mangelutanti Pramandam Kandayanti Harasarasi Jata Valli Mullashayanti Swailoka Dapatanti Kanakagiri Guha Ganda Sailach Kalanti Shoni Preste Lutanti Durita Chamur Nirbaram Bharchayanti Patodim Purayanti Suranagara Sarit Pavanina Punatu Majjan Matanga Kumbachita Madamadira Modamattalijalam Snanai Siddhan Gananam Kushayuga Vedasat Kumkuma Sangapingam Sayam Pratar Munina Kusakusuma Chais Chinnatирastani Ram Payano Gangam Mambaha Karikalaba Karakrantarangасtarangam Adavadi Pita आदावादि पितामहस्य नियम व्यापार पात्रे जलम पश्चात् पन्नगसायिनो भगवतः पादोदकं पावनम भूय सम्भूजटा विभूषण मनेज नोर्महैषेयं कन्या कल्मसनासिनी भगवती भागीरथी दृश्यते। शैलेन्द्रादवतारिणी निर्झले मज्जनोतारिणी पारावार विहारिणी भवभयशेनी समुत्सारिणी शेषंगैरनुकारिणी हरशिरो वल्लीदलाकारिणी काशी प्रांत विहारिणी विजयते गंगा मनोहारिणी कुटो विचे विचिस्तव यदि गता लोचन पतम त्वमा पिता पीताम्बरपुरवासं वितरसि त्वदुत्संगे गंगे पतति यदि कायस्तनभृतां तदा माता शान्तकृता वपदलाभोऽप्यति लघुः। भगवति तव तैरे निरामात्रसनोऽहं विघट विषय तृष्णा कृष्णमाराधयामि। सकल कलुष भंगे वर्ग सोपान संगे तरलतरतरंगे देवी गंगे प्रसीदा। गंगे त्रैलोक्य सारे सकल सुरवधु दौत विस्तीर्ण तोये पूर्ण ब्रह्म स्वरूपे हरिचरण जोहारिणी वर्ग मार्गे प्रायश्चितम यदि श्यातवः शलकनिका ब्रह्महत्यादि पापे कस्त्वं स्तोतुं समर्थः त्रिजगद्ग गहारे देवी गंगे प्रसीदा। मातर जानवी शंभु संग मिलिते मौलो निदायांजलिं वतीरेव पुसोवसान समये नारायण हृद्वयं सानंदं स्मरतो भविष्यति मम प्राण प्रयाणोत्सवे भूयात् भक्तिरविच्युता हरिहराद्वैतात्मिक शाश्वती। गंगाष्टकमिदं पुण्यं यः पठेत् प्रयतो नर सर्व पाप विनिर्मुक्तो विष्णुलोकं स गच्छति।
Thank you, Kushal. The next stotram is Annapurna Ashtakam. The main motive of reciting this hymn is to request the goddess Annapurneshwari to provide food and wisdom in our lives and to the world, which can be understood by reading the fourth line of lyrics, Bhikshan Dehi Krupa Valambanakari Mata Annapurneshwari. I invite Kumari Shrija Ishika Panchagnula to chant Annapurna Ashtakam.
नित्यानन्दकरी वराभयकरी सौन्दर्यरत्नाकरी निर्धूताखिल घोर पावनकरी प्रत्यक्ष माहेश्वरी प्रालेयाचल वंश पावनकरी काशीपुराधीश्वरी भिक्षां देहि कृपावलम्बनकरी मातान्नपूर्णेश्वरी नानारत्न विचित्र भूषणकरी हेमाम्बराडम्बरी मुक्ताहार विलम्बमान विलसत् वक्षोज कुम्भान्तरी काश्मीरागरुवासिता रुचिरा काशीपुराधीश्वरी भिक्षां देहि कृपावलम्बनकरी मातान्नपूर्णेश्वरी योगानन्दकरी रिपुक्षयकरी धर्मैकनिष्ठाकरी चन्द्रार्कानलभाषमानलहरी त्रैलोक्यरक्षाकरी सर्वैश्वर्यकरी तपःफलकरी काशीपुराधीश्वरी भिक्षां देहि कृपावलम्बनकरी मातान्नपूर्णेश्वरी कैलासाचलकन्दरालयकरी गौरी हुमाशाङ्करी कुमारी निगमार्तगोचरकरी ह्योङ्कारबीजाक्षरी मोक्षद्वारकवाटपाटनकरी काशीपुराधीश्वरी भिक्षां देहि कृपावलम्बनकरी मातान्नपूर्णेश्वरी दृश्यादृश्यविभूतिवाहनकरी ब्रह्माण्डबान्धोदरी लीलानाटकसूत्रखेलनकरी विज्ञानदीपाङ्कुरी श्रीविश्वेशसमानप्रसादनकरी काशीपुराधीश्वरी भिक्षां देहि कृपावलम्बनकरी मातान्नपूर्णेश्वरी उर्वी सर्वजयेश्वरी जयकरी माता कृपासागरी वेणी नीलसमानकुन्तलधरी नित्यानदानेश्वरी साक्षान्मोक्षकरी सदा शुभकरी काशीपुराधीश्वरी भिक्षां देहि कृपावलम्बनकरी मातान्नपूर्णेश्वरी आदिक्षान्तसमस्तवर्णनकरी शम्भोस्त्रिभावाकरी काश्मीरा त्रिपुरेश्वरी त्रिनयनी विश्वेश्वरी सर्वरी स्वर्गाद्वारकपाटपाटनकरी काशीपुराधीश्वरी भिक्षां देहि कृपावलम्बनकरी मातान्नपूर्णेश्वरी देवी सर्वविचित्ररत्नरुचिरा दाक्षायणी सुन्दरी वामा स्वादुपयोधरा प्रियकरी सौभाग्यमाहेश्वरी भक्ताभीष्टकरी सदा शुभकरी काशीपुराधीश्वरी भिक्षां देहि कृपावलम्बनकरी मातान्नपूर्णेश्वरी चन्द्रार्कानलकोटिकोटिसदृशा चन्द्रांशुबिम्बाधरी चन्द्रार्काग्निसमानकुण्डलधरी चन्द्रार्कवर्णेश्वरी मालापुष्टकपाशशाङ्कुशधरी काशीपुराधीश्वरी भिक्षां देहि कृपावलम्बनकरी मातान्नपूर्णेश्वरी क्षात्रात्रणकरी महाभयकरी माता कृपासागरी सर्वानन्दकरी सदाशिवकरी विश्वेश्वरी श्रीधरी दक्षानन्दकरी निरामयकरी काशीपुराधीश्वरी भिक्षां देहि कृपावलम्बनकरी मातान्नपूर्णेश्वरी अन्नपूर्णे सदा पूर्णे शङ्करप्राणवल्लभे ज्ञानवैराग्यसिद्ध्यर्थं भिक्षां देहि च पार्वती माता च पार्वती देवी पिता देवो महेश्वरः बान्धवः शिवभक्ताश्च स्वदेशो भुवनत्रयम् सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोऽस्तुते।